you've got this venture capital ecosystem where you can walk in with an idea, literally a freaking PowerPoint presentation, and if the idea is big enough and audacious enough, you can raise $50 million for an idea. Now, $50 million is R1 billion.
Yeah.
Our company has been going for 38 years this year. I mean, if you give me R1 billion, $50 million, for them, $50 million is money they throw away.
Yeah.
But they are willing to, they know, and venture capital, I think out of 30 ideas they invest in, 3 might survive. The rest lose all the money. So they'll take $50 million times 30. What's that? 500, it's 1.5 billion. And they know just one of those ideas will probably, hopefully, do very well.
Yeah.
And 2 other ones will just be okay.
Yeah.
But in South Africa, if you give me R1 billion, fucking hell, it is so easy to take that and make it 10 billion.
Yeah.
Because in the rest of the world, I speak to people in Europe, in Germany, and UK, and places like that. Especially in Germany, I mean, those people are so clever and so diligent and so hardworking. But when I speak to the people, I say to them, hey, there's a big opportunity in South Africa for solar panel rentals on rooftops. And they're like, Nols, what are you talking about? We've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
So the ideas that I say to them are big opportunities. The things that are big opportunities here, they are like, those are the most basic things. And they're saying, wow, it's incredible, because in Germany and in Europe, there aren't opportunities like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be such a little niche thing.
Yeah.
So it's so hard in Europe to rise up and be an entrepreneur. You've got to be super clever or have a gap somewhere.
Yeah.
In America, though, there's still opportunity. It's not as basic as here, but still very basic. It's such a big market. But here, you give me R1 billion in this economy, just in property development alone, R1 billion cash, I can leverage to 10 billion rand. And on 10 billion rand, I can make 20%. So I'll make 2 billion rand profit. I'll pay the 10 billion back. I'll give the investors back their billion plus, and I'll keep R1 billion for myself.
Yeah.
I'll triple that money. It's very easy. But the problem is in our economy, the banks are so conservative, they don't invest in ideas. The guys like to tell you that there is money floating around, and there's a lot of money floating around, but it's mismatched. The big investment funds and things, they control the market. The banks in South Africa are disincentivized to lend money to small to medium enterprises because it's seen as risky for them. And it's not risky, it's just a lot of work. Because now you've got Piet Pompies, the banker, who's now got to sit with Mr. Kotze, Mr. Chabalala, Mr. Van der Merwe, Mr. Naidu, and he's got to go every month and check their businesses and make sure. It's a lot of work, because the banks have got things like this in terms of checklists.
Yeah.
So it's so much work for small deals that the banks say, we put the clever guys, they pay their bankers a hell of a lot of money, especially the very clever guys. We put them there, they just work on the big companies. So if you're a big company in South Africa, a mining firm, a financial business, a IT business, whatever, any big company on the JSE, you get money thrown at you. South African companies on the JSE are some of the lowest geared, lowest debt companies relative to the size of their companies in the world. So those companies are low gearing. So the banks throw money at them, and the guys don't know what to do with the money. So they sit back. Even our banks sit with the highest reserve, some of the highest reserve ratios. That means how much money they're sitting with that they're not lending out. That means they're not very risky. In the world, our banks, some of the countries in Europe are taking more risk than we are. How crazy is that? There's no growth in Europe, but South Africa, that's a third world economy, there's growth, there's opportunity. The banks are not lending. So there's all this money sitting there, and they're not finding a place to put it. Because it's not worth it for them to lend. So what they do is they become very clever. The banks have a cartel. It's great. There's only 4 or 5 proper banks. And, it's very risky for me to talk about this shit, because, especially if it's online, because, our bread and butter is getting money from banks. They are our gods, they are who we have to support. But they can make or break you. But the thing is, banks today, and the bankers tell me, they do the big deals very easily. A big property developer like Atterbury, McCormick, those oaks, take as much money as you want. Maybe not Atterbury, Atterbury as well, but McCormick, all these big shopping center owners and big asset owners. But guys like us, we have to beg for money. And we're a business that's 38 years old. We've done hundreds of millions, a few billion rands worth of turnover, hundreds of million rands of value. So you don't get money from the banks. And because they charge credit card fees, they charge all these fees. So they don't want to lend to Faith, because Faith, that's risk. They're giving you money. Rather just Faith, you give us your money and we'll charge you for taking your money. That's no risk. So then what happens is now it's created a gap in the worldwide market. And this is a thing globally where other companies are now saying we're going to do finance. We're not going to go to the banks, we're going to go to insurance companies, get their money, the institutional funds, get their money, and we're going to lend it. The crazy thing is we're dealing with one of these companies. They're saying they're much quicker than everybody else. They're more flexible with their loan terms and wada. That's their marketing spiel. We're a small team, we're quick. And to an extent they are quicker. But they still haven't solved the problem, because all these guys are getting their money from the same big brothers up there. And those guys say, okay, we'll give you 10 billion to go and lend out, but here's the checklist. So how do you solve a problem by taking the same fucking checklist, copy and pasting it, and thinking you're going to get a different result? How do you do that? So now these oaks are also they're constrained by this bloody checklist. And it doesn't solve anything. That's why I'm with Carnival Capital and with this financial product. I'm going, fuck these big oaks. Because those oaks, at the end of the day, they get their power from the people. They get the money from our savings. From the guy on the street. Not the hobo, but the oak above him. Every single person above him saves their money. Every employee in this country puts money away, whether it's usually through their company, their retirement, annuities and all that crap. Old people, everybody puts money away, the average person. And we're giving our money to these big oaks, but when we want help from them, our businesses, our kids to start businesses, us to start businesses, they go, big fuck you. How does that work? The power lies with the people, not with the big oaks at the top. So there needs to be a shift, there needs to be a break in that. You watch these Instagram videos, sometimes I post these things about how hard the American guys, like the head of Blackstone, who's one of the largest private equity funds in the world, and these guys talk about how hard it is, and Elon Musk about how hard it is to start a business. These guys are starting businesses in America.
Yeah.
Come and fucking start a business in South Africa.
Yeah.
If they think it's hard there, holy shit. You have to be fucking nuts to try and do that. I should have packed up my bags, and we were, in 2018, that's what we decided we were going to do. I should have packed up my bags, sold everything, fucked off to America, and give me 5 years, I would be, I think I could be $1 billionaire in 5 years if I can start there. If I had a house, which I sold everything, I just bought a house, bought a car, and had like 30 million rand or 20 million rand or 5 million rand just to start something, just to keep going for a year. Yeah. And within a year, I'd be able to find an opportunity, hook some investors, and there you go. But we like South Africa, we love it here, but fuck me, it's not easy.
It's a trade-off, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not your people, eh?
Yeah.
It's not your people. Even when I went through Africa, Africa's cool. I like Africa, there's a soul to Africa. I always say, the only place I ever saw that has a soul is India, that I felt it had a soul similar to like Africa. But Africa's got a soul, but South Africa is something very special. When I did my 2-month trip through Africa, my mate and I will never forget, in Africa all the people are very skinny.
Yeah.
they look much healthier than us, but they're skinny. And when we crossed the border from Mozambique back into South Africa, we went all the way down. And there's a petrol station there. And I think it's Malalan is the town right by the border, I can't remember. And we went to the petrol station, and we were so happy we're back in Africa. And we saw one of these gorgos sitting there with chicken licken, just chowing this chicken licken. And she was lekker big. And I was just like, and she had the blanket around her. And she was just sitting there having an absolute joy eating this chicken. And my mate and I were like, fucking hell, thank God we're back in South Africa. We've missed this. We've missed we've missed this variety, this culture, this everything.
Yeah.
And it's got that soul.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I think a lot of people, and people won't admit it because people are stubborn, but they go live overseas. You miss something. The Americans don't have it.
Yeah.
They don't have that something they don't know they're missing something because they haven't been here.
Yeah.
But shit, when you grow up here,
they don't leave.
Yeah, they're like, holy moly,
Yeah.
The Germans have it. The Germans come here and they're like, shit, there's something about this place.
Yeah.
And if a German who's so analytical is they're the biggest guys population moving here at the moment.
Correct.
When a guy that's that analytical, who won't make a decision without thinking it through 100 times, is able to move here, you know that there's something special about the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, these acts piss me off. But we fight another day. We will succeed eventually. Yeah? If you're going to play in this game, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You can't wish it was, okay, sometimes you wish it was different, but you get demotivated and then you just remember, fuck it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking this morning, actually, I watched something that said hope is something that is overpowering or something. And I just thought, hope is a fucking stupid. Hope implies that you don't know whether you're going to succeed. You just hope. And they say if you take people's hope away, then you crush their spirit. I think hope is bullshit, man. You do something because you have to. You decide to, not because of hope. Implies that there's something, and I believe in a higher power. But hope means that you hoping something outside of your control will go right.
Yeah.
No, you determine your own fate, and you keep on trying until it gets right, until it happens.
Yeah.
The only way that you're not going to succeed is if you stop trying.
Yeah.
I understand it. So if you decide, you decide. So if it is that you decide to continue, it's your decision. You decide to quit. So if you decide to continue, and if you keep on continuing, eventually you'll reach your goal. So then reaching your goal means you just have to continue. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
So the only way to then stop somebody is to physically kill them, for them to not be here anymore, if they have decided that they will not quit. Simple as that. I think you've got to be a bit ignorant. No, I'm telling you. I was watching another thing interesting the other day where they were talking about academics and clever people, academia. But most academia, I think 99% of academia who teach about business and things and whatever they teach about, are not really that successful in the real practice of what they're teaching.
Yeah.
And the guys are talking about in academia, everything is measurable. Everything is from a book. And you say that book said that, and that famous guy said that, and we are building upon they like to say they're standing upon the shoulders of giants. That's referring to other academics. But you literally, it's like these Instagram guys going around saying, and I'm really dumbing it down, but Instagram guys saying this is how you gym and lose weight, and they're complete frauds. And then the next guy watches that and says, oh, this guy said that, and that's what you should do. You've got fuck all, it's not based on reality at all. And academia makes it sound easy. I remember they said in economics, not economics and finance, corporate finance, they said the stock market, if you want to get equity and you want to start a company, you have to come up with an idea and a little bit of money, and then you go and raise capital. You go to the stock market and you get some money from there, and you go blah, 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 blah. Fuck it. When I did my MBA again, they were like, this is how it works. And in principle, but then the real world hits you and it's like, that's how it should work. But here's the fine print. And it's...
Why do you think people gatekeep on that, though? That's a massive...
I think primarily incentives. I think incentives. People are self-serving. People are in there for their own good. Not in a bad way. I'm saying that is human nature. But you employ people to... case in point, our government, or governments in general. You see what's happening in America with the rise of bureaucracy and how big the bureaucracy is nobody's incentivized to do good or to align with what is out there. Yeah. I was talking to a high-ranking guy in a municipality. He's one of the top guys in a municipality. We had a problem that we were discussing about some of the guys below. And these guys are highly educated, guys that are employed in, let's say, a department in the municipality. And they become policemen. They think their job is to, let's say, us as a developer, we want to get approval on a new piece of land to do something. They throw it back, you put your submission in, and they just throw back something of going, this is why it won't work, and these are the hoops. But they forget that when they were appointed, their goal was their job is to align with the core principles or the goals of this municipality. And then the municipalities have to align with the goals of national government. And national government is delivery of housing, increase in income, job creation, all of these things. So that is the goal. But somehow, these apes forget all of that, and they just make more rules to make it almost impossible to promote the goal. And the guy was saying they forget, they forget the whole vision, and they just get focused on the rules, and they become policemen. And they actually are doing exactly the opposite of what they should be doing. They should be saying, okay, here are the rules, but okay, how are we going to get around this, and how are we going to satisfy that, and that, and also, should we be making another rule? Let's take this rule away. What is this rule? What's the point of this fucking rule? Donald Trump campaigned on his first, and I don't want to talk politics, but Donald Trump campaigned on his first campaign, and he didn't do it. So what he said, but in terms of this, but he said for every new law that is created, he wants to make a rule that 2 laws must be abolished. Because then you're going to go, okay, is the juice worth a squeeze? Is this one law really going to be, because we're going to take 2 away? And then over time you make it 1-1. But that'll be great, because every new law, new regulation, new bylaw that is put in place is taking away a certain amount of freedom.
Yes.
Your rights as a person. Yeah. You're not allowed to walk on the grass anymore. Your dog's not allowed to shit on the beach. Yeah. And it just, and these rules get put in place, and more people are needed in government to enforce these fucking rules. Yeah. So the government just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then each time the new guy comes in place, we're going to put more rules in place because something happened. Somebody fell off a fucking ledge because they were drunk and they were stupid. Oh, now everybody's got to have handrails. Yeah. Shit happens. Yeah. We're not. So when you look at any country that over-regulates, Europe, Australia, all these places, fucking going nowhere. It's just rules upon rules upon rules. You boxed in like this. But so it's incentivization. You are not, if you say to the people in government, in anywhere, this is the rule and your bonus is determined on performance. How did our local municipality grow last year? Did it grow? If it grows, then we all share in the benefit. Because if it grows, it means there's more rates and taxes, there's more money in the municipality, they can pay more. Yeah. And then you say, okay, we're going to take whatever the bonus pool is and we're going to distribute it amongst the staff, relative to their seniority and relative to, let's say you've got managerial level, each managerial gets a certain thing. Okay, but what's going to happen? People are going to push to get the growth, but then what they're also going to do is they're going to go, hold on, Peter next to me is fucking just sitting here loafing, and if we get him out of the picture, if we cannibalize him, if we eat him up, chase him away, there's more money for the rest of us. So they're naturally then going to make the team smaller. And companies that do that, have incredible results. I told you about the guy I met on the airplane when I flew, the American guy. And he, fuck it. No, I didn't want to talk to the guy because I was tired after a week in Joburg, and this old American guy, retiree, he was with a tour group. But it was one of the most valuable conversations I had in my life. And I just kept on talking to me, so I couldn't put my earphones in. And then after a while, as soon as he said he likes to hunt and fish, I was like, okay, I can, and he's got fancy cars. I was like, okay, now I can talk to him. But that wasn't what was important. The way that he became a multi-millionaire, and he worked for somebody his whole life. And I was like, how the fuck do you do that? And he had the balls and the insight to say he didn't want to run a business because he saw how difficult it is to run a business, but he went to his executives and he said, listen, I'm an electrical contractor. I run an electrical contracting team for this big electrical firm. And you guys are wasting money. So what I'm telling you is I'll bring the job in quicker than, if I bring the job in half the time, then I share in the savings and the labor. 50% of the savings come to me and 50% go to you guys. And that 50% he then filtered down to his team. He took again half of that and he filtered the other ones down to his team. But then he said the amazing thing happened. His team would do the work in half the time. And the team over time went down from let's say 10 guys to 3 or 4 guys. Because the guys were going, why the fuck am I sharing my money with this guy? He's not working hard enough. So only the top performers stayed. So it was almost like evolution. Yeah. Only the strong survived. Yeah. And they all benefited because they were better and they worked hard. They were based on merit. So the system sorted itself out. The company made more money. The clients were happy. The jobs were done for the same price as everybody else, but in half the time. And the oaks at the bottom weren't just salaried employees anymore. They doubled or tripled their salaries or more. I mean, it works. And it's not like you have to actively go and whip these guys to do it then. They want to do it for themselves. So it's not difficult. It's not something that's needed in a fucking textbook like this. It's basic human behavior.
If you weren't given the baton to take over your parents' business, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
I'd be in America making money. Don't know. It doesn't matter. I love business, so I would find an opportunity. If the opportunity is big enough, that would motivate me. What motivates me is not, I found I jump quite a lot, I've got quite hectic ADD, and it's a positive and a negative. Negative in the sense of I struggle sometimes to just do one thing. As soon as it gets boring, I jump to the next thing, and then I actually haven't finished that task, so I've got to control that. But the positive thing is I can juggle a lot at the same time. It's just also to my detriment, as you know, but it's also a positive thing. But what motivates me is, this audacious goal. And if it's big enough, it's like, wow. And if I believe it can happen, which technically everything should be able to happen, but, if I think it's worth it, that'll motivate me. It doesn't matter if a trash company or I think like in South Africa, these sucking Susie guys that come to the farms and suck up all the shit, what do you call it? The sucking Susie, sewage removal. Yeah, these sewage things.
Yeah.
What a fucking lack of business that is. Yeah, it is. And these things are so... But anyway, you could make, in America, you could make massive money out of that.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Just work a little bit harder, be a bit smarter.
Yeah.
And South Africans, we got it in our DNA.
Yeah.
So, but if you want to kill me, plonk me in a place like Germany, or Germany maybe, I don't know, because they've got good work ethic, but plonk me in a European country where fucking nobody wants to work and this and that, then I'm just going to get drunk and sleep all day. That's soul destroying. But yeah, America. If I would, wherever you land, you'd want to go to a place where there's potential.
Yeah.
But I mean, everywhere potential in America. And then you just see what there is and you do what you think the potential is, where there's a need.
Yeah.
It's very easy to spot a need. People don't realize it. As soon as you get pissed off with something in life, that's usually where there's a need. Because you're angry with this fucking thing didn't work well, or these guys didn't give you good service. Execution.
Yeah.
Doing things.
Yeah.
That's what they don't teach in the books. There is a whole thing in corporate strategy or thing about execution that they try and teach you, but you can't teach it in a book.
Yeah.
It's just doing it.
Yeah. So yes, you study business, right? But you can't teach the drive.
No. That's a scary thing as well, which I realized recently. My parents sacrificed a lot to get me into Stadians. And it was a great school. I mean, thank God they did. I mean, I came from the West Rand, and I was destined to be going to Florida High School, which is seen as a good school based on the West Rand relative to those schools. It was either Roodepoort or Florida, and my dad went to Florida, and he really enjoyed it. But back in the old days, government schools were good schools. Nothing against that, but they had the foresight to want to put me into a private school. And this is before schools really went downwards. It was just starting to go down. But and it's not about the education. I mean, any school has to have education. You need to learn freaking reading, writing, arithmetic, and physics. If you got those four things, maybe biology is a good one to understand nature, but if you got those four things, I mean, today's world, you don't need to go to school, to learn those things. AI or the videos and YouTube can teach you that stuff. So what is school left for? School is, my parents are like, and people say, oh yeah, but you're going to be amongst all these rich people and all these accomplished people, and it's going to be a stepping stone for you later on in life, and a network, which it is. I mean, it is. I mean, it's nice. You're becoming friends with people whose parents are high up. So that's lekker. But the negative thing is, a school like Stadians has a connotation of we are better than you. And I love the guys at Saints, and it's so nice. We had a reunion, and I didn't have the best high school time. I had a good time my last year, really, but I met again with all of our friends from high school. But you think now, these guys, with all respect, they were given everything in life, most of these guys. parents are wealthy, you know, they might not think they're wealthy, but they're fucking wealthy compared to guys on the West Rand. You know, they lived in Danefern and here and there. And, you know, divorce, family problems are correlated higher to poorer areas. I mean, people in the townships have a lot more fucking family problems than people in fucking Bryanston. Yeah. But these people, their family issues, problems, which is normal things, manage to fuck them because they're not mentally, they haven't never been given a drive. They never had to, you know, worry about being hungry. You know, you don't care so much about your dad beating you when you flip and don't have food on the table. You know, it's the cake in the township's like, well, everybody gets murdered, you know, so what? Yeah. Well, my mom and dad got divorced. Well, fucking everyone's divorced in the township, you know, so who the fuck cares? Yeah. But, you know, my mom and dad got divorced and and you know, make victim mentality. Whatever it is, I don't know if it's victim mentality, but the problem is these guys have been given everything. And my observation is when I met with them, I would have thought, fuck it, you know, 80% of these oaks are going to be successful. You don't have to all of them be Elon Musks and, you know, billionaires, but shit, they should all be quite comfortable, these oaks. Yeah. Fuck, it wasn't the case. I mean, some guys are doing all right, but fuck, there's a lot of guys that are down and out, eh? And it fucking scared the shit out of me because you've been given this, at that stage it was the best school in the country, it still is one of the best schools. You've been given everything. And you haven't been, so what's missing? Why have you not done something with your life, you know? And lack of hardship, I think it is. Because I saw in Bryanston, you had Bryanston High, or you have Bryanston High, which is a public school, but it's a good school, good public school. And I made some friends with both sides, and I was arrogant enough to look at guys from Bryanston High sometimes, and I was mates with them, and I think, oh, these oaks, you know, they didn't have the money we had. So, like, and maybe the class, you know, the education, yes sir, no sir, you know, it's important in life, but it's bullshit. But those oaks, fuck it. A lot of them, higher percentage than the guys in St. Stithians, have become successful businessmen. And they didn't necessarily come from nothing, they came from good middle class families. But these oaks have made money, and nothing's too good for them, you know. Maybe they haven't gone into the banking sector and gone and worked at a freaking bank and come cushy bank jobs. You know, that's the oak at Saints who's done that is, you know, the average, not the average guy, but that's a guy that's done well at Saints. He's an employee for a bank. Yeah. We're pretty fucking doodle. Yeah. But the guys at Bryanston, they never had these, they couldn't get into the best universities and this and that. And these oaks had to go make money for themselves and start businesses. And shit, these oaks are doing well. I've got to take my hat off to them. So, schooling-wise, it's a problem I'm facing at the moment with us moving to Cape Town. You've got, I mean, I can afford to put our kids in a good school, in a private school, and you've got Bishops, which is, you know, one of the top schools in the country. If you speak to a Bishop's boy, you'll say it is the top. That's, you know, but I'm very scared of sending my kids there because my kids grow up extremely privileged, and then putting them in a school where everybody thinks they're better than everybody else, and there's no hardship relative to the rest of the world. In their minds, they're going through hardship. But I'm not saying I want to put my kids in a shit school where they, you know, make them suffer. But, you know, we're looking at more of the Model C schools, and they're brilliant schools there, where they need to socialize with people that don't have everything. They need to realize what they have. Because you want to instill that drive. I mean, this little puppy now, the vet was saying, you know, these dogs, they need to be given a drive. You need to play rough with them. You need to have the rope, and they need to learn to get that aggression. This dog can just lie around all day and sleep. You know, and if I don't put a drive into it, it won't have that drive ever. So I think it's the same. That's the one thing. Drive, determination comes through over and over again. Determination. You know, Bryanston High guys didn't have a better education than us. We had the best teachers. Our people had more money. Their families had more money. They had more opportunities. If any of the guys in our school, if most of the guys in our school wanted to open a franchise, a KFC franchise, their family would help them do that. Or they would have somebody that they could access. So to start a business, they would be able to get the money to do that. But the oaks are just, there's no drive. And I'm generalizing, obviously there are guys with drive. But overall, there's no drive. So that's the thing, drive.
How do you teach that? Wow.
You can't teach it. They've got to.
Yeah.
My drive was created, if I look back, by hard times in our family. You know. Yes, I'm very privileged to have a very relatively good upbringing in terms of family life. You know, very loving parents that still love me today. Not too many family issues, although every family's got its issues, but relative, to me it's big issues, but relative to real big issues, it's nothing. But I'll never forget, like when my dad, you know, we were seen, when my dad started becoming successful in the West Rand, in my primary school days, we were then seen as, oh, you guys have got money, because we got, you know, had a nice car and this and that. And then when the economy crashed, all of that got taken away. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't go shopping with my mom and just buy clothes and stuff. And it sounds a bit arrogant or sounds a bit entitled, like I can't buy clothes, but can't buy new clothes and stuff. But that, you know, it really hit me. You know, having to start saving and this and that and having to be conservative. And that's happened a few times in our lives. I think I spoke to you previously where that happened after varsity with us, where we had to go through such tough times. So those tough times are so necessary. You know, it's almost like bullying. Where's the line? You don't want your kids to be bullied. I think bullying is the bad part. But, well, they can't just have a flippin' cushy life through varsity with or through school with the parents protecting them and nobody gives them shit. They must be given hard times. So that drive, and also in high school being bullied, gave me a drive, you know. Luckily it didn't break me. But that drive is important. You have to have the hard times. Yeah, it breaks a lot of people, eh? But it's your own decision at the end of the day. And I think faith comes into that. You know, I think and unfortunately today a lot of people don't have faith anymore, they're not religious. But it's not about religion, it's about faith. It's about believing in yourself or believing, you know. God doesn't say you must hope. I mean, I don't think any religion says you must hope there's a God. It says you must know. And that's what you must go through life. You must know that you can do it, you know. Getting knocked down and knowing that you can survive it. I think a lot of guys, you know, especially cushy guys, have never been punched in the face. Literally and figuratively. But, you know, you're conditioned watching movies to think that you get punched in the face, you're going to die. You know, you're just going to get knocked out. And it's liberating to see when people actually, when guys who've never been in a fight, get in like a street fight or something, or get in a ring. Hopefully, probably better to get in a ring and have a controlled environment. And they get punched. And first of all, their world just gets rewired. They think, ooh, and they just realize they didn't die. They're still alive and they can actually continue fighting. It's like the guy just becomes a lion, you know, becomes a man. I'm a man. And I think the only way to do that for me is be fairly strict and traditional with our children. Try and instill discipline, and we try and instill drive, the will to win. Sometimes I think it's a little, maybe too much because they just want to win. But that's better than the opposite of not giving a shit. But if they want to be successful in life, they're going to have to meet some hard times. And that's very difficult. I mean, just can you imagine doing that to your child or knowing that they have to go through it. But there's a guy that I've heard about, a very wealthy Cape Town family in the mining business, but I don't know the exact details. I've met the guy once or twice, but it seems like his dad got it right. Grew up with everything, fancy schools, whatever. And then I think the dad, I don't know if he went to varsity or if he didn't go to varsity, but the dad said to him, all right, here's a plane ticket, a little bit of money, here, fuck off to the UK. You cut off for a year or two, I don't know what it was, I think it was a year. We cut off, don't call us, don't talk to us. Call us after the year if you know. I mean, imagine that mom, how that must be like. But the guy went and he had to like literally go and do basic shit, try and survive, you know, not some cushy job. You had to go and sell shit on the street or door to door and see how hard it is. So he got that, he knew what it was like to not have anything, to appreciate what he's got. And then apparently the dad said to him, okay, now I'm going to give you a chance. Well done. Now the next step is I'm going to give you a chance. So I've got a big mine or something. I think they said they opened it in the Congo or something. We need a transporter to transport the stuff from the port to the mine. I'll give you the money to start up, but you're going to live in the Congo and you're going to run that business. And it can be a big business. I mean, that's a big contract. And you're going to do it, but you're physically going to be there. And the guy went and did it and made a massive success of himself. And he made a lot of money. So now he can almost walk back into the family and say, okay, I've proven myself. can almost say, hey, fuck you, Dad, look at me. But hopefully, he realizes that his dad did it out of love. So now he has this massive family wealth, but he knows what it is, what the hard part is. And I haven't met the guy. I met him once or twice, and he seems like a good guy. From what I hear, but people say is he's a good guy. He's a good person, wholesome, well-rounded person. And that's what you need to succeed. Johan Rupert, I think his dad tried to do the same thing, Anton Rupert. Not necessarily, I don't know about the hardships. I haven't researched the family enough for that. But the dad Johan went to New York and he went and worked at investment banks. Like he could have just stepped into the family business, we're billionaires, here we go. But he had to go and work in New York and learn something new that he could bring back to the family. Otherwise, what do you bring? Also, you've got no, why should you employ your son if he's got an accounting degree, but the guy next to him came from nothing, all this hardship, and he's also got an accounting degree and probably better marks than your son. Why should you employ your son then? What does he offer? And I think Raymond Ackerman did that to his son. I think he employed another guy instead of his own son, which I don't know if, I also haven't researched enough. I don't know, but for me, I won't do that. I'd like to give my son the chance, not because he's better, but because I think loyalty is much more important than skill. Attitude is more important than skill as well. But loyalty is number one, and I think your son should be more loyal to you than some other guy. Yeah. You hope. Yeah. So it's not an easy answer to that.
What are your thoughts on the future of working and AI?
AI, fucking love it. Shit, I love AI. I think we don't know what's coming.
Do you think governments will adapt or not?
I don't fucking know. I can't predict the future, but AI, my personal thing, AI is going to change the world. It's like it's going to have the of the invention of the car when people had horses. Yeah. It's going to have the impact of Google or the internet, in my opinion. And what's amazing is there's competition in AI globally. So all the big guys, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Tesla, OpenAI, they are all throwing billions and billions. It's going to add on to trillions, I think, into this thing to compete with one another. And I don't know, one or two of them is going to be left standing winning and take all the money. But we're going to benefit because competition is making them advance this AI so quickly. Every week there's new updates on all of these AI systems, like ChatGPT and all of these things. And it's like weekly or monthly, it's getting better. From the time I started using it to now, it's a totally different world. And it's incredible. And where it's going, I don't know. But I'm not smart enough to figure out where it's going. That's not my job. Yeah. But the fact that it's going to help humanity. I was just thinking the other day, did you know, this is scary. Let me just check. I want to get my facts straight on this because this is really hectic. So there was studies done, there's been various studies done now that regarding the causes of death. Okay. Like people say smoking and this and that and gun violence and whatever. I think a guy said the other day, and it depends on which study it is, but it is the fact is it's massive. That I think the third largest, one of the top 10 largest causes of death in America, which is where they're documenting it quite well, is medical procedures, mistakes, doctors.
Yes, I heard about that.
Holy shit.
Yes.
That thing blew my fucking mind. Can you imagine?
I heard about that.
And nobody talks about it.
Yep.
And the doctors don't write, oh, I gave the oak too much of this, or cut the wrong cord here, nicked an artery, misdiagnosed. And, and that's just, but if you think about it logically, you've got doctors that work sometimes. You see these videos where the surgeons are working on somebody, where the guys have worked like 24 hours in the theater and they literally passed out on the floor. And I'm going, I should say, well done to these guys for doing that. But I'm going, if it goes 2 hours past my bedtime, I can hardly fucking type a proper message on Google or on an email. How the hell does this, it's not physically possible for this guy to be as good in the beginning as it is in the end. So, obviously maybe you didn't have a choice in that instance, but you've got a fucking dumbass. By the end of 24 hours, this guy is like, you haven't got the top surgeon in the world, you've got the stupidest surgeon in the world working on you, where So I'm just going. So that's one thing. And then people make mistakes. So they overworked these guys. It's a high barrier to entry to become a doctor or a specialist. So obviously, but they can become overworked. They start chasing money. So what is the motivation for them to be the best in their field anymore? There's no motivation. It's just they want to make money now. So I see it with some general practitioners and doctors. They became a GP 15, 20 years ago. They're still prescribing the same medicine that they prescribed back then.
Yeah.
They haven't changed.
Yeah.
These are not keeping up to date necessarily, and I'm generalizing again, but most of them are not keeping up to date with the newest things.
Yeah.
There's incentives from the pharmaceutical industry for them to use a certain product. They become lazy. If I know that for headaches I give Myprodol, fuck it, it works, let's keep on going.
Yeah.
But there's so much we don't know. I've just seen, people don't realize it, but I'm using it for things, the speed at things I can do, the quality of work, the access to information I'm getting.
Yeah.
For me, let's give a basic example. Let's say somebody says to me they want a proposal for I've got to go to a bank and give a proposal for a finance application. Now, yes, there's a lot of stuff I need to do to put that in place, but the compiling of that application, once I've got all the relevant information, is something that takes, let's say PowerPoint presentation or whatever the hell it is with supporting documentation, is something that would probably taken me and another person a month to do. It's not, you don't just pop out a presentation. Fuck it, I can pop out a presentation in a night after work. I can do it in one night now, 30 days. And I would have had to probably get, if I wanted some market data or some information, I have to get some consultant who's going to charge me a minimum of 50,000 Rand. So I'm saving 50,000 Rand, but I'm saving my time and two other people's times. Let's say work on an hourly basis of, let's say my time's worth 3,000 Rand an hour. Let's say I'm like an advocate, 3,000 Rand an hour and two people at 500 Rand an hour. So it's 4,000 Rand an hour. And I'm saving 20 days. So 4,000 Rand an hour times, let's say we're only working 8 hours. It's 32,000 Rand a day times 20 days. It's 640,000 Rand just by paying a monthly subscription to ChatGPT. What the fuck? That is incredible.
Yeah.
Legal fees, attorney. I think what I've learned with AI is guys who are the top of their game, specialists. AI is going to be struggling to compete with them because they're continuously pushing forward. They are at the frontier. AI bases its, I'm saying that, but AI currently bases its knowledge on historical information and data that it gets. But once you apparently get to artificial general intelligence, which is the thing that everybody's aiming for, where this thing becomes self-thinking, then it'll run its own scenarios and own experiments.
Yeah.
Then those oaks might be a little bit fucked. But and creativity is one thing that the guys said, that I read a book on this. Elon Musk recommended a book on AI. And the one thing is creativity is something which it's going to be very, very hard for AI to copy that. Just on saving money for us, but the main thing is speed, making us faster. How would I be able to how would I be able to advise on the amount of companies that we have 5 years ago? I wouldn't. Somebody asked me a question, I send you an email at night, I say, Faith, let's look at this for the brand strategy.
Yeah.
It's a fucking thing that would take you half an hour to read. Yeah. And I sat at night. And you get in this, like you say, a flow. You just keep on going and you go down this rabbit hole, but you're getting information and stuff. And it talks back to you and it says, hey, what about this? This might be wrong. Your assumption here. You can test yourself. I don't have to phone a guy during work hours who's hopefully an expert on the topic and ask him, what do you think? And that's the opinion of one guy. Last night I was sitting, I told you about horse racing. So last night I was sitting and saying to, a GPT Scholar, it's one of the APIs, one of the added things to ChatGPT, where they look only at peer-reviewed international studies, a case study. I said, okay, everybody telling me that this is what makes a good racehorse, but I want to go into the data, go into the actual studies, and bring up the top. And I said, if I want to become the best racehorse owner or racehorse trainer in the world, and I want to breed racehorses, what are the facts? Give me the top studies. And I've got 20 different kick-ass studies that I've now got. And then I take those studies and I say to ChatGPT, here's all the studies. Now tell me, based on the studies, what is the best, what must I look for? And there it goes. How would I even have gotten that knowledge? There's not one, I don't know of one single book, and this thing is not one book, it's 20 books put together. It's incredible. It can make me a relatively, not an expert, but to know enough to make a decision in a night. That's incredible. You know, so we started with medicine, and that's what Larry Ellison from Oracle, also one of the world's richest men, he's backing Elon Musk quite a bit as well. And he said he's focusing on medicine with AI because if you think about it, why the fuck have we not been able to solve cancer? Everyone's getting cancer. You know, my dog had cancer. I had to put the dog down. Well, I've had melanoma, cancerous things that luckily we caught. But my dad has had it. You know, most people, I don't know who doesn't get cancer these days. So fucking everybody's getting cancer. How the fuck have we not been able to figure that one out? And with AI, this thing will go, okay, well, this is... And what they're saying, once it gets to a certain level, it's going to start figuring it out itself. It's not just going to be based on historic things. It's going to go, okay, but here's the frontier. Here's where the knowledge ends. Where are we going from here? So, wow. Hey? Can you imagine? A world without cancer.
So it's a tricky thing because there's obviously two ways people look at it. It's like, great, it can help us, but also, is it going to take away jobs?
It is, definitely. But the car take away jobs, yes. Horses became a luxury thing, it didn't become a necessity. Fucking the worldwide horse population plummeted. Now you've got people that were putting hooves on horses, cleaning their stables, whatever. Suddenly you've got a car, you just park in the garage and leave it. Yeah, but those people, I mean, it's not like people died. People didn't die because the car was invented. Well, maybe it's arguable, but I mean, the net result of the car was all positive mostly. Well, it was positive because, I mean, a horse is much more dangerous than a car. And can you tell me that society was better or worse off for the car? The average person. Yeah, so it's the same thing. I watched a Star Wars type of series or something where they had they landed on a planet where all the people were just partying all day. Just partying, having almost like a Victorian party times, you know, just sitting, jolling. And this society had figured out artificial intelligence and robots. And that robots do everything for them. So the people were actually and that's something that comes up in the AI discussion is that, and Elon Musk says he thinks it's going to be an age of abundance, where everybody can have incredible lives. Imagine, you know, you've got something that can literally make you something. You know, the scarcity is not going to be there. You know, you've got machines doing everything for you, and you don't have to pay for it because the cost of making things is going to come down so much. You know, instead of having a guy do your lawn, you already have little robots that can run around, you know, automated. But you don't have to employ that guy. But that guy, it's going to drive down the cost of that robot. That same guy can have a robot to help him. The old lady that can't get up the stairs, or somebody that needs somebody to talk to, or whatever. I mean, I think it's, you know, obviously there's good people and bad people in the world. There's good and evil, and people will try and use it for bad.
Okay, just to throw something in the mix there. So if AI could replace property developers and automate the entire real estate industry, would you be against it or would you embrace it?
Well, I'm already cutting out a lot of oaks, believe me. So, I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but I'll find something else to do. I mean, am I not going to own property anymore? I think the biggest threat, is am I property rights, you know, am I going to allow to own anything? Or not just property in terms of real estate, property in terms of anything. You know, but no, I mean, let's say AI comes and there's an AI guy I can appoint that does my job for me. Fucking awesome. I'm going to have to find something meaningful to do in life, but maybe then I'll be maybe then, you know, I'm not at that point, but, you know, you see these second and third generation super wealthy people that are old money, that focus on the arts, you know, and charitable work and things like that to give them meaning in life. Because they've got clever people doing their job for them. They've got AI, but humans doing their job for them. So they need to find meaning in life. So I think maybe people can then, people then try and just do more good. Because it makes them feel better. Or makes them get into heaven. So maybe that's what I'll do. You know, you can only drink so much alcohol and sit on your ass doing nothing. You're going to have to do something. A man without meaning or person without purpose is nothing. It's a waste of space, in my opinion.